Alright, so now we've got everything from this end of the boat down to that end of the boat. The plan is now to, this is obviously this end of the boat, is the one we've already painted. We've got up to there. So the plan is now to try and block the boat off around there, and then we can just do the same as what we've already done, moving forward that way. Again, it's just de-rusting the bilges, rubbing down the walls and rust treating the ceilings. I've already had this one up in the past. It looks pretty dry under there, to be honest. Just really dusty, really rusty. And the surprising thing about these old boards is they don't appear to have been treated with any kind of varnish or bitumen or anything like that. Yet there's only minimum mould and damp. So that just goes to show you these, I mean, God knows when these went down, at least 15 years ago. 15 years and that's still as good as, nearly as good as when it went down. So make of that what you will, you know, to treat or not to treat. So with the boards up now, we can see what we're dealing with under here. Pavers looking pretty fresh. Most of them are in a solid state. So I think this lot will go back down. It's going to be solid pavers. These will go back down. Might substitute some of the cracked ones for full ones, and then try and fill up these two bays here with the ones I've put in down the stern end already. And then the small bays there that don't fit the pavers in because they're a weird size. I mean, why would, you know, everything in the existing boat was 600, 600, 600, 600. So then why in that 13-foot section would you do it 540 between sections? Just makes it so difficult, you know, unless you want to cut 60mm off each paver. That's why there was a load of broken stuff in there, because full pavers didn't fit. Well, I'm going to put block pavers in the stretch section and then see what we're left with when we get down to the stern end. My thinking as well is if we put block pavers in the stern end, then obviously when it comes to having to move any about or lift them out to get access to bilges, it's easier to lift them out than it is full pavers. But full pavers can go down here, I think, because this shouldn't be wet or as wet. There's no potential for it to be wet compared to the rest of the boat, because from the hatch onwards you've got the kitchen and then the bathroom. So there is potential from the hatch onwards, i.e. the stretch section and beyond, to be wet if there's ever a leak. So it's good to see that these are in fairly decent condition and they can go back down again afterwards. I don't think, I'm not sure what, I think I did, I think I sprayed the boat before I lifted the floor last time. This time I'm just going to have the whole lot up and do it all in one hit. Going to be dust everywhere, man. Right, now that lot's gone, let me just show you something quickly. with all the flooring up and the ballast gone, you can see now how this welldeck drainage system used to work. There's the pipe, which has been blocked off from the other side, which is why the welldeck fills with water. And originally, this rubber pipe here went onto that spigot, and then the water in the welldeck drains through there, and that used to run all the way down here through the gaps in each strengthening bar and all the way down. And then that used to go all the way down to the other corner in to the engine bilge. Once in the engine bilge, the water then gets pumped out by a bilge pump. But in their wisdom, when they put the stretch section in the middle here, they just cut the pipe off. There. Let's get some light on that. There, so we can see the pipe. Comes all the way down. But oh no, where we've put a new section in, we'll just cut it off here and not bother rejoining it. Hence blocking it off up there, and now the welldeck just fills with water. Brilliant. I mean, the alternative really would have been just to leave it up there and then it would have all pissed out here. So from previous videos, I don't know if you would have seen or not, but I did find the other end of this once we got beyond the stretch section, and it was in that corner there. Now, let me just show you. It's a bit of a mess out here, but you can see the welldeck now it's got no drainage in it. Bit of a crap system in the first place, to be honest, because it relied on the boat listing to that side in order for the water to drain into that pipe, and basically it becomes a weak spot now. There's three ways I look at it that I can. Three things I can do here. I can either reinstate that pipe, put another rubber pipe in all the way from front to back. But I think then that this metal pipe here becomes a rust issue if it's got water in it. This hose clip here has obviously seen better days, and that pipe in itself has seen better days. So then that becomes a weak spot there, and that there is going to be under the hearth, because there's the flue and that's where the fire's going. So you've got no access to there once the hearth is down, so you've got a weak spot under an inaccessible area. The pipe itself, running from front to back, you've got issues with potential blockage. If it ever got blocked, where would the blockage be? How would you find it? You don't know. It could be anywhere under the floor, from front to back. So there's that issue. So you've got a potential weak spot in an inaccessible area. You've got a potential blockage situation which could arise, and you wouldn't know where that blockage is in anywhere along the whole length of the boat. So I think reinstating that pipe is ruled out. So then you come to your welldeck, right? So your welldeck, you're not reinstating that pipe, you're blocking it off there. Your welldeck now is without the cracked cover, which is crap anyway, as you can see, even with the tarp over, the water's getting in somehow. Could be condensation, to be honest. But you've got now, with no drainage in this area, a wet bilge, which isn't a problem because we have a wet bilge at the back of the boat in the engine bay. So there's only two things you can do here. You can either put a bilge pump in, which is I'm favouring, because a bilge pump like this one or similar, that bilge pump really wants to be one that can get as low as possible to get as much as this water out. But with a wet bilge and a bilge pump, at least you can put a floor in here with an access hatch, and you've always got access to the bilge pump. You've always got access to the wet bilges in case you want to wet vac it or dry it up with nappies or do whatever you want to do. You've always got access to this wet bilge. Originally the water tank was in here, but again, if you look at some of my earlier videos, maybe some of my earliest ones, you'll see the water tank that came out. It was a fiberglass affair, it was a right state, and it's only 250 litre capacity, which is, you know, fine. But for a boat 63 foot and potentially a liverboard, 250 litres doesn't cut the mustard, to be honest. And I'd much rather have access to this bilge if it's going to be a wet bilge than put a 200, an under capacity tank in there. Again, the fiberglass tank that came out was in the right state. I had quotes to replace it with a stainless steel one, and they came in at somewhere around the 900 to 950 pound mark, 950 quid for 250 litre tank. To be honest, no, I'm not in the market for that. The other thing to do is you could lose head height in here by putting a bigger capacity water tank in, and then putting a false floor over the top of that tank to raise the floor up. That would require welding all the way around, and then you could drill drainage holes either side. So, but then we're talking about possibly having to lose some height here, and then your well deck that you're actually standing on becomes higher than your head height, and then you are losing room in your crutch cover in your area there, which is undesirable, to be honest. I would like this area to be somewhere you can stand up in and sit down in and just have a nice area here, and you can achieve that with a false floor in here that you can lift up and gain access to the bilges if you need to. So that's, I think, that's the way I'm going to go. I think just to put a bilge pump in with a false floor. If anyone else has got any ideas, please, just comment below, let me know, because at the moment that's my idea, is just put a little false floor in there with enough room for a bilge pump in there. It's accessible, maintainable, and you keep your head height in there. Ready for more dust. I'm not going to de-rust the bilges, or you can see there's a bit of rust to come up, rust here and there, but I've got a wire brush all this and all the sides. That's going to create a hell of a lot of dust, so not worth doing any more to these for now. But well, interestingly or worryingly, depending on how you look at it, months ago I was under the boat looking at how flaky it was and just thinking, you know, a rainy day job might be just to get under the boat, shelter from the rain, and you know, something to do. It needs doing. I need to scrape the bottom and either black it or epoxy it or do something. Anyway, I'll diverse. I was under there and I found a divot. I found a little bar. It was a little recessed hole about the size of a 1p piece, and I thought, well, what's that? What's going on there? Head of a big pit, if it's a pit, and well, I found it here, look. What's going on there? We've got a patch on the floor, so I don't know what's going on there, but obviously it's something to investigate further. When we get a wire brush in here, we can wire brush all this and inspect these welds, make sure everything's hunky-dory. But yeah, we've got a patch on the floor. So that's something to look out for in future, keep an eye on. I'm not quite sure that's going to be in the floor opposite the kitchen. So now we have to, if ever there was going to be a place for a bilge locker, cold storage, you know what people do these days. Put it there, and you've got a nice little inspection hatch and somewhere to keep your beers cool. That's the bulkhead completed in, right? So basically you have the old floorboards, we've made a bulkhead. It's a bit hodgepodge, but you know, it does the job. Can use that as a template as well in future. So yeah, I just got to get some hinges and a latch, and hopefully that'll do decent enough for, well, it'll go certainly a long way towards keeping all the dust out of that half of the boat while I do this half. We've got 2 hatches for ventilation now, 4 windows, so yeah, hopefully the dust storm that is about to ensue will be kept to a minimum, or at least will be kept contained within this half of the boat.